paragraph begins, it's towards the end, a few paragraphs from the end. It begins, because of the appearance of the autumn season, the water of the ocean becomes calm and quiet. Okay, so I'll just give you a moment to find that while I sing the invocation prayer. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Pahimam. Okay, so I hope everyone's up to speed now where we are. And also, if you'd like to have your japa beads ready, we're going to be chanting one round of japa together, as we do in previous weeks, at the end of the Sangha. So I'd like to invite everyone to read, even if you want to just read a short paragraph, that's fine. The more readers we have, more variety it creates in the group, so don't be shy. If you can list a number for the reading order, that would be appreciated. So we've got Jay Prakash reading number 1, Apurva reading number 2, and Mum reading number 3. And if we've got any more readers, please enlist your number. Okay, so Jay Prakash, Prabhu, over to you.
Hare Krishna. Because of the appearance of the autumn season, the water of the ocean becomes calm and quiet, just as a person developed in self-realization becomes free from disturbance by the three modes of material nature. In autumn, farmers save the water within the fields by building strong walls so that the water contained within the field cannot run out. There is hardly any hope for new rainfall. Therefore, they want to save whatever is in the field. Similarly, a person who is actually advanced in self-realization protects his energy by controlling the senses. It is advised that after the age of 50, one should retire from family life and conserve the energy of the body for utilization in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Unless one is able to control the senses and engage them in the transcendental loving service of Mukunda, there is no possibility of salvation.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this chapter is full of wonderful analogies, comparing the nature of the world to different aspects of our Krishna conscious philosophy. So each paragraph is packed with descriptions of this. In this particular paragraph, there's 2 analogies given of nature and philosophy. So the first one is about the calm and quiet ocean, yeah? And then there's a comparison made there. And then the second analogy is about how farmers, they, I guess it's called irrigate. They irrigate their field. They make a wall around their field to protect water, to keep the water in. Yeah, and there's an analogy on against that one as well. So this first analogy is about the calm ocean. In the autumn season, the ocean becomes calm. Okay. So let's discuss that. And how is Srila Prabhupada and how is Srila Prabhupada comparing that here? What is that compared to, a calm and quiet ocean?
A self-realized person.
Yeah, okay. And how is it that is compared to a self-realized person?
Because they're not affected by so many things in society.
Yeah,
so they tend to remain calm.
Yeah. So you can think of it as being like maybe the mind of the person, would you say?
Sorry, yeah. I didn't hear that.
Would you say it's maybe like the mind of the person that's calm?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's another point made here about the three modes of nature. So that's effectively like what, the waves of the ocean? Yeah. What does the three modes of nature mean? Can anyone say?
Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Is it?
Mode of passion, goodness, and
Passion and
ignorance.
ignorance.
Okay. And if you were to sum up, what does that mean in this context? What does that mean?
So they are not affected by any by this mode of nature,
If
material.
someone's never heard of the modes of nature before, how would you explain that to someone in a very simple way?
I think say above mode of goodness, which is complete devotional service to Krishna, complete dependent on Krishna. Uh, so the Maya won't affect them. They are completely under the influence of Krishna, not under the influence of Maya.
Okay. And how about passion and ignorance? Because goodness is also a mode of material nature, so it's also materialistic in nature. Okay.
So would that be anything around the gross body and the subtle body? So your senses,
Okay.
your
Getting
immediate
more technical
senses.
now. I want to keep it really simple. What are the
Okay.
modes of nature, and how do they disturb like a person from being calm and quiet?
It-
Pretty? You wanna have a go?
So like the conditioning of life, whether you're in good times or bad times, disturbed times, you just keep steady, like you're unaffected by it. You just keep going, like how Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says to Arjun, just do your duty. Don't worry about what's coming or what may come. You know,
Okay.
what situation you are in, just do your duty. Then you'll remain steady, because that's just what you have to do.
Okay, yeah. So having a calm mind from like the good times and bad times is like the waves, isn't it? Sometimes the waves are high, sometimes they're low. You know. So yeah, nice. All right. Anyone else would like to share something on this point? So this is a nice example we can actually use when we speak to people, I find, isn't it? You know, when we're explaining some aspects of philosophy, just compare it to, nature. People think of the waves being high and low, high tide, low tide. So modes of nature are like that. They throw us around a little bit. The material nature is unsteady, and the spiritual nature is steady. So if we're connected with the spiritual nature, then we'll be steady. We won't be affected by the material nature, which is unsteady. Okay, so there's another example here, which compares the water preserved in a farmer's field. What's that compared against? Did anyone catch that one? Which begins from the middle of the paragraph. So this like preservation of water.
I'd say that relates to last time, the time before we were talking about remembering Krishna and not forgetting Krishna. So I'd say that would be to not forget Krishna. So you build your boundaries around your life. You don't associate with people that could impede your bhakti, so that you can preserve that water throughout the dry times. So when you're not feeling so filled with bhakti, at least you have reserves. Whereas if you've given all those out, then you don't have anything when you really need it most.
Yeah, that's a really amazing point. I never thought of that. Yeah, it's really good. Prabhu Mataji always thinks of things like outside the box, It's really good. Yeah, that wasn't what I had in mind. But yeah, that definitely fits the example, and it definitely is true as well. So yeah, nice point. So yeah, like having that reserve of energy for when you really need it in Krishna consciousness, and you can get that by working according to your means, according to your duty. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? So the strong walls, what are they compared to here? And what is the field compared to? And the water? Or just all together? So when I read this, I think that the field, it refers to the body, because Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that the body is like a field of activity, and in that field there are different senses. Yeah. So the senses are like this water which is being protected. The senses are protected. The water is protected in the field, so the senses of the body are protected. And how is that done? By building strong walls. So don't go after sensual activity in the world. Don't go after things that will entrap your senses, is the message here. So someone who is advanced in spiritual practice, through their life they're practicing how to control senses. Yeah, because the more you restrain your senses from materialistic things, then senses have to go somewhere. It's not that one can completely shut off the senses, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, but we just redirect the senses to Krishna's service. So we just redirect the senses to activities which involve serving Krishna, either in his deity form or the chanting of his names, or going to places connected with Krishna, hearing about Krishna's wonderful activities and the philosophy he gives us. So in these different ways, all of the senses can be engaged in the service of Krishna. And it's particularly mentioned at the age of 50, one should retire from family life and conserve that energy. Yeah? So after a life of practice, one comes to this age of 50, or whatever age actually, really, then one can start to wind down the outward activities and start engaging more in the Krishna activities, as is recommended here. So any thoughts on that, or any comments before we move on? Can anyone think of an example in Krishna consciousness which engages all of the activities, or all of, let's say, all of the senses, an activity in Krishna consciousness?
You can give an example of Ambrish Maharaj. He used to um, um, use all his senses in Krishna's service. So you can use your tongue for eating prasadam, use
Yay.
your eyes to go into darshan,
Okay.
use your feet to go for yatra and parikramas around the holy places. Use your nose to smell Krishna's offered flowers. What else? Use your ears to listen to Krishna's kirtans and lectures, and use your eyes to read Krishna's books,
Yeah.
and use
Using
your
all the
hands
senses.
to do the service for Krishna.
Yeah. And I think he was also mentioning that in the example of Ambarish, using the body to embrace the devotees. So in this way, Maharaj Ambarish is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam as an exemplary person who engages all of his senses, and he focuses his energies in serving Krishna, even though he was a Maharaj, even though he was a king. And you can imagine, for a king, they have so many things to do, but this king in particular, still he could conquer his senses by using the senses in the service of Krishna rather than in using them in material energy. Okay, so who is our second reader? We can move on to the next paragraph unless anyone would like to share comment or question.
Haribol,
So
I think
Purva
I might
next.
be, yeah, I think I might be second. I just wanted to add something that a devotee told me about a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
She said that when we chant japa, the intention is to try and engage all of our senses. So we're touching the tulsi beads. If we have an incense going at the same time, taste is a little bit more difficult to do because I've just also found out that it's really good to chant before you honor prasad, if you can discipline yourself that much. But yeah, to try and engage all of the senses, and then to look at a photo of Krishna, or to close your eyes and see Krishna self-realized. Yeah.
Yeah, chanting is definitely another one. Yeah, so engaging the tongue in chanting, the eyes in saying the deity while you chant, or a picture of Krishna, hearing Krishna's name, yeah, smelling the incense, and the fingers touching the beads.
That's the one. Yeah.
So,
There we
yeah.
go. Thank you. Yeah, you got it. The full version.
So there it is, in chanting, if we really fully absorb ourselves in that way, then all of our senses can be active in chanting. Some of us may have had the experience where it's like, as soon as you sit down to chant, off you go. So that's like inactive chanting. If we're really active and engaging in the chanting, then it's actually absorbing all of our senses. If we prepare ourselves, like, I'm going to use all of my senses now for Krishna's service. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that one.
During the daytime in autumn, the sun is very scorching, but at night, due to the clear moonshine, people get relief from the day's fatigue. Similarly, a person who takes shelter of Mukunda or Krishna can be saved from the fatigue of misidentifying the body with the self. Mukunda or Krishna is also the source of solace for the damsels of Vrindavan. The damsels of Rajabhumi are always suffering because of separation from Krishna, but when they meet him during the moonlit autumn night, their fatigue of separation is relieved. When the sky is clear of all clouds, the stars at night shine very beautifully. Similarly, when a person is actually situated in Krishna consciousness, he is cleared of all dirty things, and he becomes as beautiful as the stars in the autumn sky. Although the Vedas contain instructions for pursuing knowledge, jnana, for practicing mystic yoga, and for engaging in karmic activities in the form of sacrifices, the ultimate purpose of the Vedas is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. One has to accept Krishna consciousness after thoroughly studying the Vedas. Therefore, the clean heart of a devotee in Krishna consciousness can be compared to the clean sky of the autumn season. During autumn, the moon looks very bright, along with the stars in the clear sky. Lord Krishna himself appeared in the sky of the Yadu dynasty, and he was exactly like the moon surrounded by the stars, or the members of the Yadu dynasty. When there are ample blooming flowers in the gardens and the forest, the fresh aromatic breeze gives great relief to the persons who have suffered during the summer and rainy seasons. Unfortunately, such breezes could not give any relief to the gopis because of their heart's dedication to Krishna. People in general might have taken pleasure in that nice autumn breeze, but the gopis, not being embraced by Krishna, were not very much satisfied.
Okay. So there's a few analogies now in this paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think I counted. So let's go through them one by one. So the first analogy is about fatigue. I think it's the key word here. Fatigue. So what's the comparison made here? Did anyone pick that one up on the first few sentences? First couple of sentences. Feel free to have a guess. Hare Krishna.
It's saying so a person who takes shelter of Krishna can be saved from the fatigue of misidentifying the body and the self. So you must be getting, it's quite tiring, I think, to forget or to even remember that the body and the self are different. So when you take shelter, you can actually realize that you are not this body.
Yeah, very, very profound points there. That misidentifying the body with the self, in other words, just thinking, I'm my body, I'm my senses, and this is all there is to life, that's actually very fatiguing, it's very tiring. Yeah. And how is that compared? What is that compared to in nature?
The sun and the moon. So
Okay.
the sun is scorching, so you get the relief from the day's sun in the evening.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like that. The material nature is like the burning hot sun. And this is, of course, the analogy taken from Vrindavan. So anyone who's been to India knows how hot it can be in the day. Generally, all the temples are closed in the daytime. Does anyone know between what time and what time?
Between, I think, midday to like 4 o'clock, quarter to 4.
Yeah.
Some are 2 to 4.
So this is the reason, because of the such hot weather in India. The temples are generally closed between, say, noon, 12:30, around that time, until 4 o'clock, because that's when the heat is at its peak. So nobody wants to even go out, during that hot weather. And similarly, even though we're in this material world, we want to avoid misidentifying with the body. We have got this body. It's going to be there, just like in the day the sun's going to be scorching hot. But we can avoid identifying with it, in the same way that in India people avoid going out and about in the hot sun. So it's nice an example there. Okay, so unless there's any comments or questions, anyone?
I just wanted to add one more thing. It's saying that, you find a relief. So I was thinking in the terms of this soul's been going around life and death for so many different types of bodies. So it's like 8,400,000 types of bodies. So we've been going round in a circle and circle. So now we got a human body. If we start seeking shelter of Mukunda and praying to Mukunda, hopefully we will stop going round in circle with all these different bodies.
Yeah, that's right. So having that shelter, so it's amazing what we have in Krishna consciousness, because we have the real shelter that tells us we're not this material body. That's our shelter. We know that we're an eternal spirit soul, full of bliss, knowledge. Yeah, we have an eternal life with Krishna. So that's what we have to take shelter of. And this is actually how the damsels of Vrindavan, they live like this. They have the full shelter of Krishna like this.
Okay. I just wanted to add one more thing, that it's like where it says, it's stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one has to accept Krishna consciousness after thoroughly studying the Vedas. It's kind of like denotes that nobody has a choice, which is it's true. It's like, in my experience anyway, once Krishna's got you, there's just no going back. Like you just you know that, I don't know, you can have your rebellious side, you can do that, but there's just no going back once you it's amazing. It's a good thing. Yeah. Like,
that reminds me when I
just out of anything that you enjoyed in the past, and he's like, no, Krishna consciousness.
yeah, I can relate to that. I think many of us can relate to that. I remember when I first started going to the youth programs, the ISKCON youth programs, they told me quite early on, this is like the mafia. Once you know too much, you're never going to get out. So, because Krishna consciousness can be like that, Once you know too much, there's no going out. You can't just go out and just enjoy yourself like any materialistic person,
Ignorance is no longer bliss. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. You guys are trapped. Nice one. Okay, so then that's an analogy as well. That's the next one, which is about clarity. Yeah. So what's been mentioned in the next analogy about being clear? What is clear? So now we're about halfway down the paragraph. This word is mentioned a few times: clear, cleared, and clean.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mita Mataji.
So all the dirt that's in your covered, the soul's covered by all the dirt is cleared, and you get the you can see well you become pure because you've taken to Krishna consciousness, because your soul is really covered with all the all the dirt.
Yeah, that's it. That's the example given. So the all the dirty things of the heart are cleared by Krishna consciousness. And what is that compared to in nature?
It's as beautiful as in the autumn sky. The
Yeah, that's
star,
right.
the autumn sky.
Yeah. So the sky is clear of all clouds. You can see the stars shining here. Okay. So then we can appreciate the sky for what it really is. In the same way, we can really appreciate the world for what it really is. Because you have a clean heart, you can see clearly. Okay. So like we were saying earlier, once you know too much about Krishna consciousness, there's no going out. Everything is too clear for you. Okay. The next one is an example of the appearance of the moon. What is that compared to? So this is about, again, still kind of in the middle. This is just after a few sentences after the previous analogy. During autumn, the moon looks very bright. Yeah? Did anyone catch the analogy there? What's that compared to?
There's effulgence.
Okay, say a bit more.
Yeah, like
Be a
coming
bit
to
more.
consciousness and becoming aware of Krishna's effulgence and because his light. I've heard in the past that we're meant to have cracks so that the light can shine through, and essentially Krishna is that light. He is this brilliant, magnificent light, but he also has a beautiful personality to get to know as well.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. That kind of fits with this too, yeah. Again, this is different from what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, but also it's a valid point. Yeah, anyone else want to add one? Did anyone else pick up the analogy from here? So yeah, Lord Krishna is exactly like the moon, it said, surrounded by the stars. Yeah. So in the autumn, the moon is surrounded by the stars. Similarly, Krishna, he is surrounded by the members of his dynasty, the Yadu dynasty, who are like stars. So Krishna already comes in a very bright dynasty, many stars, yeah, in his dynasty. But Krishna himself is like the moon, because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's appeared amongst all these stars. So that's the example given there. Does that one make sense? Does everyone catch that, or is it not clear? Yeah?
I just have a question, if possible. The Yadu dynasty, I've definitely heard about it in the Bhagavad Gita, but could you share a little bit about that?
Okay. So there's basically two dynasties of kings in the ancient traditions. There's the lunar dynasty and there's the solar dynasty. Yeah. So the solar dynasty, of course, it comes from the sun god Surya, and the lunar dynasty comes from the moon god. Krishna is in the lunar dynasty. Lord Ramachandra, he's in the solar dynasty. And one of the prominent kings, because the dynasties they span back for thousands and millions of years. Actually, the reign of their kings span back for millions of years. So in the more recent times of Krishna, or in just prior to Krishna, the most prominent member of that dynasty was King Yadu. Yeah. And so he like that was seen as like his clan or his dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then people such as Krishna's parents, so Vasudeva was in that dynasty, and then his father, I believe his name was Surasena, was also in that dynasty. So it's a dynasty of great kings, and when there's these type of dynasties, then the children who are brought up in that dynasty, they take on a great responsibility because of their great family heritage. So they're all like stars, you know. There's another example given by Srila Prabhupada. I think it's at the beginning in the introduction, perhaps, of the Krishna book, and also other places. Prabhupada says how Krishna is like he comes into this dynasty like the way that the Malaya hills, they have that is a natural place where Chandan can be found. So does anyone know what Chandan is? Chandan? Yeah. Chandan is what we use for our tea, like Gopi Chandan. So Chandan is available from a specific, it's obviously a natural ingredient. It's available at this Malaya mountains. So this Malaya is it just naturally comes there. So the mountain range is famous as the Malaya mountains because of the Chandan. So in the same way, Prabhupada gives the analogy that this dynasty is famous because Krishna has come there. So that Malaya, Prabhupada says, it can grow any. It could have appeared any mountain really, but because it came into that mountain, therefore that mountain range is called the Malaya Mountains. So, in similar way, Prabhupada is saying that this dynasty is great. Krishna could have appeared in any dynasty, but he chose this dynasty. He happened to appear here. So this whole dynasty has become great because of Krishna's appearance there. So, hope that makes sense. Krishna consciousness is so poetic like that, right? There's so many wonderful ways of explaining things that Prabhupada's given us. And then the final analogy in this paragraph, I didn't actually spot it the first time I read it. Did anyone else catch the last one? About the blooming flowers, the aromatic breeze. See, everyone's reading really intently. Like churning the nectar from Krishna book.
So I would say, Hare Krishna, I
Hare
would
Krishna.
say that breeze of the flowers wasn't giving any pleasure to gopis because they were what's it called? They were looking for Krishna in simple words. So nothing was pleasing them other than Krishna.
Yeah. It's actually it's quite a deep analogy, this one. I think it's got like 2 layers to it. From when I read it, I didn't catch it even the first time I read it. So generally, people look forward to the smell of fresh flowers when the spring season comes. When in this case the autumn season or the monsoon, they look forward to that fragrance. There's certain flowers that come in that season, yeah, because the previous seasons they've suffered just from rain and so on. So for an ordinary person, they look forward to things from season to season, you know. But that's not the case for the gopis, because they have only set their heart on Krishna. They're not too concerned with the comings and goings of this world. So that's the next level of the analogy, that actually the gopis, they only take pleasure in Krishna. Their hearts are dedicated to him. So they don't get that relief that other people may get from the different seasons of this world, different types of happiness of this world. So has anyone got any comments or questions? It's quite a lengthy paragraph, that one, with a lot of detail. And just seeing who would like to read next. Who was our third reader?
I think it's your mum.
Yeah? Okay, Mom. You ready to read?
So Krishna was very expert in playing the flute, and the gopis
I think
were
it begins from
this way, right?
on the arrival of the autumn season. All the cows, that one.
With the previous paragraph.
Am I right? I don't know.
Yeah, after the long paragraph on the arrival of the autumn season.
Yeah, on the arrival of the autumn season. All the cows, deers, birds, that one.
Oh, I've lost the paragraph.
Which book have you got?
I've got it on my iPad.
All right.
I think we moved it around, so we've lost it. Would
I see.
anybody else like to go while I find the paragraph?
Yeah, who's the next reader then?
Vimo?
Vimo, do you know where we are? We don't know where you are. I don't see Vimo online anymore. I can. Who's next? Oh, Smitha's here as well. Smitha, would you like to read?
Yes,
thank
please.
you.
Thank you. On the arrival of autumn season, all the cows, deer, birds, and females in general become pregnant, because in that season, all the husbands generally become impelled by sex desire. Such pregnant females are exactly like the transcendentalists, who, by the grace of the Supreme Lord, are bestowed with the benediction of their destinations in life.
Yeah.
Srila Rupa Goswami has instructed in the I can't say the word.
Upadesh Amrita.
Upadesh Amrita,
Right.
that one should execute devotional service with great enthusiasm, patience, and conviction, and should follow the rules and regulations, keep oneself clean from material contamination, and stay in association of the devotees. By following these 6 principles, one is sure to achieve the desired result of devotional service. For him who patiently follows the regulative principles of devotional service, the time will undoubtedly come when he will achieve the desired result, as the females results by becoming pregnant.
Okay. So there's one analogy in here about the pregnant lady who is patient, yeah? So what is that compared to? Patience. Yes, Pretty?
Just be patient with the process.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. That's what I read it from here. So there's a lot of other information given in this paragraph, but the focus will be on, the focus of the analogy is on one who patiently follows the regulative principles. Yeah, so they achieve the desired result. So just like the result of pregnancy is to have a child, one must be patient for the child to be born, and one must do all of the necessary things to care for the child in the womb. So in a similar way, our Krishna consciousness is still in its what's the word? It still is in its flowering stage, or what's the word? Like in the budding stage, right? So it's still in its infancy. That's the word I was thinking of. So our Krishna consciousness isn't fully fledged, pure love for Krishna. We don't have that yet. At least I don't. I don't know about all of you. So we're still in that stage of infancy in our Krishna consciousness. But we know that if we're patient and we follow the practices and the processes, just like all the saintly people have done before us, and if we just follow in their footsteps, then we'll get there. In the same way that a lady who's pregnant, she understands that, I just have to follow for several months like this, and then the child will be born, as many women have had children before me. It's quite a nice example, isn't it?
Perfect example.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's a perfect example. I just wanted to say we found the six
Okay.
principles in the Nectar of Instruction.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, yeah, they're just really, I didn't know them. They're quite interesting. There are six principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1 is being enthusiastic. 2 is endeavoring with confidence. 3 is being patient. 4 is acting according to regulative principles such as Ravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Naranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5 abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6 following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. If you could approach pregnancy with all of those, it would be pretty special. I'd imagine.
Yes, a very, very famous verse from the Upadeshamrita, from the Nectar of Instruction. So for those of you who are not familiar with this book, the Nectar of Instruction, this is considered to be one of our 4 pillar books in Krishna consciousness. One of the 4 cornerstones of our Krishna conscious reading. I highly recommend everyone try and get a copy. It's available freely online. Called the Nectar of Instruction. What a title! It sounds almost what's the word? Like there's 2 opposites. What's the word? Just the pose. Right? People don't like instructions in general, isn't it? But this is the nectar of instruction. The instruction in this book, if you follow them, will make your life so sweet. That's what this book is all about. And it has these very nice principles. Principles are important. I'm not going to go through these in a lot of detail. But principles are important because, situations differ. Yeah? Everyone's life is different. Everyone has different challenges and different things to deal with in life. So the details are always different in everyone's life. But if we know the principles of life, if we know the principles of attaining the goal of life, such as the ones we've read, like patience, enthusiasm, conviction, and so on, then our life will become very sweet. So I highly recommend it. It's not a very big book at all. Apurva just had it there, right? You want to just show us? How thick is that book? It's just got 19 texts in that book, I think, isn't it? Sorry, it's 11 texts in that book. Right?
Yeah,
And so in 11
yeah.
texts, the whole of Krishna consciousness is explained, from just like, you know, the basics, like controlling your senses, right up to the mood of Radharani. Everything is covered in this one book, in just 11 texts. So just take a day out, have a read. It's a really amazing book.
Can I just ask you what the other 3 books are of Krishna consciousness?
Okay, so the Bhakti Shastri course covers these 4 key books, and it's considered like the degree of Krishna consciousness. So that's the Bhagavad Gita, the Nectar of Instruction, the Nectar of Devotion, which is like a more it's like a bigger version of the Nectar of Instruction, and then the 4th one is the Sri Ishopanishad. Okay. Okay, does anyone want to... Okay, we just got 10 minutes left now. And there's 2 paragraphs left. So I'm inclined to stop here. We can maybe cover these next 2 paragraphs in the next session, because I don't think we'll get through this one and have a discussion on it. But I thought it'd be nice if everyone could share something as we're ending now. I'd like to give everyone a chance to speak. So, as you know, I don't want to pick on anyone, but like, what was the key thing that stood out for you? What was it? If everyone could just share one real quick thing, because we've only got 10 minutes, and there's a little bit more than 10 of us on the meeting. So if everyone could just share one quick thing that was like, wow, I can really take that away. That was a take-home message for me today. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? A nice way to finish with a reflection from everybody. Yeah. So I think maybe we could just start from the top. And Mataji's like, oh no, why does my name have to begin with A?
Always struggle with this A, even at school. Since my childhood, I suffer with this A alphabet. One thing I liked in today's class is, even though there is a brief, the mood of gopis is always towards Krishna. So I would like to follow that, even though like we are, like I just compared myself, like I like to go out and visit many places. Linisha loves that, so I used to accompany her, take her out. So now I'm thinking, even though we go there, we are enjoying that, just temporary, and it's not lasting forever. So if we incline that wish towards Krishna, how good it would be. So I'm thinking I would like to implement that in my life, but I don't know how far I would be successful. But yeah, that stood out for me.
Wow. Yeah, so that's planted the seed, isn't it? Seed of thought. Amazing. Okay. And Mom, do you want to share one next?
I haven't thought of anything. Would somebody like to go before me?
Purva, would you like to go next? Just reading down the list of names here.
Haribo, yeah, sure. Hare Krishna. I would say that I have learned that I think I need to focus more on preserving energy for Krishna. It's so easy to have energy for university or people, but actually to really save that energy for Bhakti.
Yeah. It requires energy, doesn't it? Krishna consciousness, attention, and energy. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Archana, would you like to share anything, Mataji?
Yeah, I would just say that keeping boundary, living this material world, and keeping with the Krishna consciousness, we keep the boundary that we don't get attached with the material world. While we live in this material world, we keep attached to Krishna.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's a
this
really
makes
nice one as well.
sense.
Yeah, definitely. Great. Thank you for sharing. And then, who else? Jay Prakash Prabhu was with us.
One I liked was the comparison of sun during daytime is scorching heat and moon at night is sort of soothing. compared to that, the analogy is obviously take shelter of Krishna to basically save yourself from the fatigue of misidentification of the body with yourself. So that's quite a clear message there, that, and also rubber stamps that, you know, that the body and the soul are separate. So that's quite good.
Yeah, yeah, that's another different one. Yeah, like they have that term in the workplace, burnout. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
burnout from work. So it's very much like that, isn't it? If we have Krishna consciousness, we won't have burnout. Okay. And Jigna is on as well.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I would say the lesson of patience in that last paragraph we just read about infancy to adulthood,
Yeah.
and just keeping patient with the journey of devotional service and sticking to it.
Yeah, yeah, that's another one, wonderful one. Yeah, thank you. Then Madhvi Mataji, was there something that really stood out for you from this week? No? Okay, Panchali?
Yeah, sorry, Prabhuji, I've been listening more today and taking part less. So yeah, for me, it would be two things: patience, of course, and also calmness in mind, which helps us remain detached and not get agitated with the ups and downs of life.
Ah, yes, the calmness of the waves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and the modes of nature. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Pretty, did we ask you yet? No, not yet. Pretty, would you like to share one?
Yeah, I think it's for me would be a connection of both the be patient and like follow the process. So that process would be like the principles, and yeah, how principles are important. And it like then just going with what was said in the paragraph, and like time will give you the desired results. You know, it kind of connects to things materially as well. Yeah, so in a way, like how people say Bhagavad Gita could be used as like a life skills book and everything. It's you know, stuff like this, you can connect it to material stuff as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great point. Yeah, so Krishna consciousness isn't just some airy fairy thing like over there, you know, like right there, you know, in the clouds. See the clouds over there, No, it's not at all. It's very much here and now. It's relevant for all times, all places, because it's based on principles, eternal principles. So yeah. Okay. Sashi Mataji, was there something that you could take away from this week?
Mine was just about the calm and the quiet of the ocean waves, and just as a self-realized person, as I said at the beginning of the class, I've noticed that doing these classes and having time for reflection and a number of different things has made me become a lot calmer as a person. And it's also through gaining the knowledge as well. I've come to sort of be less agitated by things, whereas normally I find that if I would react to something, I'm now sort of becoming more and more non-reactive to things in life. So there's less agitation and less things affecting me. I've still got a very long way to go.
Oh, that's really amazing. You know, it's very practical, isn't it? That you read something and you can apply it. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, like I often think of it like you know, we all need a rock in our life, something that's steady, something that just keeps us grounded. So if we make Krishna consciousness that rock in our life, then all good things can come because we're steady. Okay, Sham Vallabha Gopi. Hare Krishna. Maybe she's not available right now. Smita Mataji, did you share one yet? No?
No, Hare Krishna. I think the last the last paragraph, following the six, I didn't know there were 6 principles. I knew there were 4 regulative rules and regulations. So I've learned something new today. I mean, I learn every day, but to stay in touch with, to have association of devotees and being patient and follow slowly so that you can get to the desired stage.
Mm. Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? It's interesting how out of these 6 principles, there's one is enthusiasm, and the next one is patience. So people might think, oh, what's that all about? You know, a bit contradictory. Yeah. But then the third one puts it all in place. There's conviction. If there's conviction, you're always going to be enthusiastic, but you're not going to be passionate. You're not going to be like, you know, there's patience, but it's like, you know, it's coming. And so you carry on enthusiastically. So yeah, these principles are really powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also the
Have a read.
of devotees as well. I think that's very important. I've been told that time and time again, that that's very important to have that association, putting Krishna in the center.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. Bhakti comes from the bhakta. So if you want to get devotion, you have to be with the devotees. Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing. And then I think we're through the list.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Nice to see you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, by practicing Krishna consciousness, it keeps away from sinful activities.
Yeah.
Which on a material platform we don't realize, but we only realize by practicing Krishna consciousness.
Mm.
And then automatically we are following feet of Lord Ram to become either ideal husband, ideal wife, or ideal son.
Mm.
So basically we go into the reality. And
Yeah.
as Srila Prabhupada says, if somebody is not practicing Krishna consciousness, they live an animal life.
Yeah. So nice
And,
reflections, Prabhu.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
people in
Okay.
general, they think that by not smoking or by not drinking alcohol, blah blah blah, we are restricted, but they don't realize that they are controlled by those sinful activities.
Mm. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. So this is very much like the clear mind, isn't it? In the clear sky. Huh? One has a
Like
clear mind.
sometimes,
They don't want to be. They don't be attracted to the dirty things of this world.
yeah,
So yeah.
because
Okay.
if there is a bank manager or even a doctor, but if they are smoking, and they think they are the boss, but they are not the boss because they are controlled by just a small piece of cigarette.
Yeah.
They don't realize that.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah,
Actually, you know, someone who has so much material knowledge, expertise, and skills,
yeah.
still under the sway of the illusions of the world. Without Krishna
Spend so many
consciousness, there's
years.
no other hope.
Yeah, spend so many years getting good degree,
Mm.
working hard, but end of the day,
Yeah, people don't know what the goal of life is, isn't it? It's really unfortunate, even though they have so many material accreditations to their name. So yeah, Krishna consciousness, it doesn't require any great qualification. You know? Anyone can do it. Prabhupada says even a child can chant. So yeah, there's every hope for the devotees in Krishna consciousness. So we have to get addicted to chanting and practicing Krishna consciousness. That's our addiction.
And that means those people have no self-realization at all.
Yeah, because the mind, the senses, they're never satisfied. So yeah. So on this note, Prabhu, and everyone participating, we'll move on to the next part of our program, which is for one round of japa, Hare Krishna mantra meditation japa. So if we all have our japa beads. Okay, so oh, a few people's hands go down. So let's all catch up again next week. I hope everyone has a blissful, Krishna conscious, and safe week ahead. Thanks very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.